said I was under the protection of the United Space Nations, but suddenly, gunfire erupted outside. The man grabbed his radio in a panic and shouted,
"We're under attack, requesting immediate backup."
During the firefight, the vehicle's tires were blown out, leaving us immobilized. The United Space Nations agents were quickly neutralized. 2 officers rushed to get me into another black vehicle and drove us away from the scene. Inside the new vehicle, a middle-aged man with harsh lines etched into his face sat across from me. His gaze was probing, analytical. Then, in a calm and steady voice, he asked me a single question.
"Professor, the world is under threat. Whose side are you on?"
With a mix of shock and anger, I demanded, "What's going on here? Who are you?" The man pulled a cigarette from his pocket, lit it, fixed his eyes on the road ahead, and replied calmly,
"We're human, and we stand with humanity. Professor, there's a lot you don't know. Mars is the key to everything."
I asked him to explain everything in detail, to tell me what was really going on. But he just sat there in silence, smoking his cigarette. When he finally finished, he flicked the ashes away and said,
"We're not alone in the universe, Professor. So I'll ask you again, whose side are you on?"
In that moment, I began to understand why they wanted me so badly. I wasn't sure if the earthquake on Mars had really happened, but it was clear that something was wrong out there. The people sitting across from me, who called themselves defenders of humanity, seemed to know the truth about what was really happening on Mars. I asked skeptically, "Is this about the earthquake on Mars?" With a bitter smile, he sighed and said,
"They fooled you too, Professor?"
I realized I couldn't tell who was friend and who was foe. The shadow of the disaster on Mars had now stretched all the way to the stones of Hagia Sophia, even reaching the heart of Istanbul. I knew one thing for sure. This was just the beginning of a trap set not only for me, but for all of humanity. As we moved through the narrow streets of the historic peninsula, a growing unease settled deep inside me. The man sitting beside me held a darkness in his eyes that I wasn't used to. Unable to hold back, I asked, "What's your name?" He locked eyes with me and answered briefly and firmly,
"Kidder."
Just hearing that name felt strange. I didn't want to stay caught up in this game any longer. "I want to be dropped off somewhere convenient. I'm going home to my family," I said. Hizir lit his cigarette and slowly exhaled the smoke out the window.
"Professor, you have no way out except through us now. If we let you go, they'll kill you."
Though his words sounded like a threat, they didn't shake my resolve. "No matter what, let me go." Hizir's face darkened. He took out his phone, made a call, and put it on speaker. Suddenly, I heard my wife's voice, filled with panic.
Ali, where are you? The kids are scared.
Then the call ended. I shouted angrily, "What do you want from my family?" Hizir raised his hand, signaling me to stay calm.
"I saved their lives. Now come with me and listen to what I have to say. If you want to leave afterward, I promise, I'll let you go."
I had no other choice if it was for my family. I accepted his offer. They blindfolded me, and in the darkness, 2 people grabbed my arms and led me somewhere. I heard the clang of a metal door opening, then felt myself seated in a chair. When I opened my eyes, I was in a dimly lit, rundown room. Across from me stood a dusty old projector. As Hizir started up the projector, he began to speak.
"What you're about to see is completely real. Whether you choose to believe it or not is up to you."
A photo of a man appeared on the screen. "This is Moses," Hizir said. "He's currently one of the architects behind advanced artificial intelligence." I recognized the man. He truly was a groundbreaking figure in the field of artificial intelligence.
"We managed to infiltrate Musa into their ranks long ago," Kidder continued. "With the technological singularity in the 22nd century, they began putting their plans into motion. Their first step was to bring their exiled relatives back to Earth."
What he was telling me sounded ridiculous, but the seriousness on Hizir's face made everything feel even stranger. Suddenly, a video started playing on the projector. It was footage from Mars. Amidst the reddish atmosphere, a ritual surrounded by strange symbols was taking place. Then, there appeared a creature that looked human, but had a body resembling a snake and a lizard. Hezir abruptly paused the video.
I can't show you anymore.
Moses had secretly recorded this footage on Mars and tried to send it to us through artificial intelligence. But he was caught. He was also the one who severed communication between Mars and Earth. There was a moment of silence. The only light in the room came from the dim glow of the projector. Hezir placed his hands on the table, looked me straight in the eyes, and asked,
Are you with humanity, Professor?
Just as I opened my mouth to answer, the door to the room burst open. An armed man stepped inside.
Kidder, there's an emergency. They found us.
Everything suddenly sped up. Kidder grabbed my arm and pulled me along. Alarms started blaring from the ceiling. Footsteps, shouting, and gunfire echoed through the corridors. Together with Kidder and his men, we navigated the maze-like hallways. As we passed through a door, Kidder slipped a small metal box into my pocket and said,
This is the key Moses left for you.
When we stepped outside, night had fallen over Istanbul. The city lights twinkled in the distance, but behind us, a battle that would decide humanity's fate had already begun. I paused for a moment and turned to Hezir. What happens now? Hezir replied, his eyes filled with both fear and hope.
The real war is just beginning, Professor. Make your choice. Either you stand with humanity or with them.
In the darkness, feeling the weight of the metal box in my pocket, I realized for the first time in my life that I was truly alone. The secret of Mars had been entrusted to me, and I knew this could be humanity's last chance. As we fled through the narrow streets of Istanbul, gunfire suddenly rang out behind us. Bullets ricocheted off the stone walls, forcing us to quicken our pace. Hezir shouted,
Hurry, they're right behind us.
Just as we rounded the corner, a sharp pain tore through my leg. I staggered from the heat of the bullet. Hezir stopped for a brief moment, his eyes glinting in the darkness. He stepped closer and said,
Fight for humanity, Ali. Don't you dare give up.
Then, to avoid getting caught, he left me where I was and disappeared into the shadows. United Space Nations agents found me shortly after. As my consciousness faded in and out, the sound of ambulance sirens echoed around me until I woke up in a hospital room. When I opened my eyes after the surgery, my wife and children were at my bedside. With tears streaming down their faces, my kids clung to me, pleading, Daddy, please, let's just go home. Their warmth made me forget the nightmare, if only for a moment. At that moment, the door opened, and 2 FBI agents in black suits stepped inside. My wife and children were escorted out. The eldest agent approached me and said,
Sorry for what you've been through, Professor. You've been rescued from the terrorists. We just need to take a brief statement from you.
Of course, go ahead with your questions.
First, do you know the people who kidnapped you?
No, I don't.
Professor, what is the reason for your visit to Istanbul?
I hesitated for a moment. Should I mention the secret base on the USB drive, or keep everything to myself? Before I could answer, the FBI agent pulled a small metal box from his pocket.
We found it in your pocket when you were brought to the hospital.
He opened the box to reveal a piece of paper inside. It had only one thing written on it. 2 to 10.
Do you know what this means?
No, I don't. Look, Mr.
John.
Mr. John, I'm very tired. What I've been through has taken a heavy toll. With your permission, I'd like to provide my statement in writing later. The agents exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. They quietly left the room. They probably sensed I was hiding something. A deep unease settled inside me. There was no turning back now. I was right in the middle of chaos. After the FBI left, my family returned to my side.
Ellie, what's going on? Are you hiding something from us?
Our eyes met. I wanted to tell her everything, but I couldn't. All I managed to say was, "Everything will be all right. Please trust me." A day later, I was discharged. My right leg was bandaged, and I wouldn't be able to walk for a while. But what mattered most was that I had survived. My wife, children, and I flew home on the earliest flight. I needed a long time to recover from everything that had happened. I decided to put this mystery behind me and try to live my life as normally as possible. But a week later, when I grabbed my jacket, I found the USB drive, still locked with a password we couldn't crack, in its pocket. Memories of everything that had happened flooded back, along with the mysterious note labeled 2 to 10 that the FBI agent had found in the metal box at the hospital. Giving in to my curiosity, I wondered if that might be the password. I plugged the USB into my computer. Just as I suspected, the USB unlocked. But as I eagerly opened the files, my curiosity quickly turned into bitter reality. The USB contained hidden truths about the dark side of Mars,